What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here as always on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade JJ Williams, and today we're going to be wrapping up our look at DC films and our time in the DCEU with a look at Shazam. starring Asher Angel, Zachary Levi, Mark Strachan, Jack Dylan Grazer, Digimon Ansu, Faith Herman, Grace Fulton, and John Glover. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. And like I said during the introduction, today we're going to finish up our look at DC movies and the movies within the DCEU with our look at Shazam. Now, I know the Suicide Squad just opened up, the one that James Gunn directed with John Cena as the Peacemaker, but we're not taking a look at that this month. We'll save that, put that on reserve for when we come back to comic book movies. We all know there's going to be more movies coming from Marvel for the MCU. There's still a ton of DC movies coming out, along with all the stuff that I haven't covered yet. So we'll definitely have another month down the road with comic book movies. We can get to that in. But let's not focus about that. We're here to talk about Shazam. Let's get into it here, shall we? Now, our movie opens in 1974, where a young Thaddeus Sivana is riding in a car with his father and brother when out of nowhere he is suddenly transported to the Rock of Eternity, which is a magical temple in a completely other dimension. There, the ancient wizard Shazam has spent centuries searching for someone who is pure of heart, on whom to bestow his power and name as champion, after the previous champion released the 7 deadly sins, which killed the rest of the Council of Wizards. But Thaddeus is tempted by the eye of sin, through which he hears the voices of the sins which are trapped in stone statues, and promise him power if he frees them. As a result, the wizard deems Thaddeus unworthy and magically returns him to the car where his abusive father and brother refuse to believe his story, and his father's verbal abuse and inattentiveness leads to an accident. The sins then send Thaddeus a message telling him to find them. We then jump ahead to the present day, Philadelphia, where 14-year-old foster child Billy Batson continually runs away from foster homes in search of his birth mother, from whom he became separated from while at a carnival 10 years earlier. Billy gets placed into a group home ran by Victor and Rosa Vasquez with 5 other foster children: Mary Bromfeld, Pedro Pena, Eugene Choi, Darla Dudley, and superhero enthusiast Freddie Freeman. Meanwhile, the embittered Thaddeus Sivana finally succeeds in his lifelong quest to find his way back to the Rock of Eternity. Thaddeus steals the Eye of Sin, becoming the sin's vessel. He defeats the wizard and uses his newfound power to kill his father, his brother, and the Sivana Board of Directors. One day at school, Billy defends Freddie from bullies and is chased into a subway where he is transported to the Rock of Eternity. The wizard then chooses Billy to be his new champion by saying his name, Shazam, causing Billy to be transformed into an adult superhero. The wizard turns to dust, leaving his magical staff behind. Back at home, Freddie is taken into Billy's confidence and begins to help him explore his brand new superpowers which include super strength, super speed, near invulnerability, and electricity manipulation. When he says Shazam again, he can transform back into his normal 14-year-old body. Freddy begins to post videos of the brand new superhero, which end up going viral, while Billy starts skipping school, using his powers as a street performer for money and fame, which strains his relationship with Freddy. When Billy accidentally endangers and then saves a bus full of people, Savannah confronts him and demands that he surrender his powers. But Billy discovers that he can fly and escapes. Billy's foster siblings deduce the fact that he is the superhero and complete his search for his mother, who ends up living nearby. Billy rushes to see her, but is disheartened to learn that she abandoned him because she felt inadequate to the task of raising him as a young single mother. Savannah deduces Billy's identity and takes his foster siblings hostage. Billy then agrees to transfer his powers to Savannah in exchange for their safety. They all go to the Rock of Eternity to use the wizard's staff in order to effect the transfer, but the children follow and attack Savannah. Billy discovers that Savannah becomes vulnerable when all 7 sins leave his body. So Savannah pursues them to a winter carnival and unleashes the sins upon the crowd. Remembering the wizard's words, Billy uses the staff to share his powers with his siblings, transforming all of them into adult superheroes just like him. Billy then breaks the staff and does battle with Savannah while his siblings take on the sins. When Billy lures out the final sin, envy, he makes Savannah weak and yanks the Eye of Sin out of his head, recapturing all of the sins. Billy and his siblings are hailed as heroes, and they return the Eye and the sins to their prison and realize that they can use the Rock of Eternity as their superhero headquarters. Billy finally accepts his foster parents and siblings as his new real family, and our movie ends with Billy in his superhero form having lunch with his siblings at school and revealing to Freddy's surprise that he has invited Superman to join them. In our mid-credits scene, the imprisoned Savannah is approached by a talking caterpillar who proposes an alliance with him. Okay, this is the second time I've seen the film. I watched it once shortly after it became available, like the Redbox, and then I watched it to review it for this. I still find this movie hokey as hell, but I will admit I enjoyed it a little bit more the second time around. The whole boy transforming into adult superhero thing, I've always just kind of found lame and cheesy. It's part of why I didn't really ever get into the Turbo Power Rangers season, because the Blue Ranger, when he was out of Ranger costume, was a kid, probably about Billy's age, 12, 13, maybe a little younger. But as soon as they shift into Turbo and then morph into their Ranger selves, he's a grown-up. I always thought that was corny. And Shazam, I kind of feel, is the same way. It's corny watching him go from a 14-year-old to a 35-year-old, roughly. I'm not sure how old Zachary Levi is, but in any event, a grown man. It just seems corny to me. But I did enjoy it, like I said, a little bit more this time around than I did originally. I do like the whole, orphan aspect, trying to come to terms with his new place and his new family. I do enjoy that. A lot of that is what I love about movies like Meet the Robinsons, which we'll get into next year for sure. But other than that, I don't know. This didn't really have a lot for me to sink my teeth into. I'm curious to see what you guys think. When it comes to my rating for this one, I'm not going to be heartless. I will give it 2.5 out of 5 stars because I did enjoy it more this time than I did last time. If it had been the same for me, it easily probably would have been a 1.5 star movie. I still haven't seen a movie or covered a movie that gets 0 stars. The lowest I've given so far is 1. But this would definitely be about that area if I hadn't enjoyed it more the second time around. Maybe one day, if I watch it again, then my opinion may change a little bit as I watch it, more and more, because it seems like every time I see it, my opinion grows a little bit more in favor of it. But for right now, I'm going to stick with 2.5 out of 5 stars when it comes to Shazam. What do you guys think out there? Let me know. If you're watching the premiere, leave your thoughts and comments over here. If you're watching on demand later in the day, leave your thoughts and comments down here. Whatever you do, though, when you get out there on social media, let's try to get those hashtags trending. Hashtag Casa D18 Studios, hashtag Renegades Reviews, hashtag Renegade Returns, and of course, the ever popular hashtag Shenanigans. We interrupt this episode of Renegades Reviews for an important announcement about
merchandising.
Merchandising? What's that?
Merchandising. Come, I'll show you. Merchandising, where the real money's made.
Make sure you go over to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network for all the t-shirts you see here from the West Coast professor, Jeff Meacham himself. You can get shirts for the Jeff Meacham Network, Talk Wrestling, as well as the red and gold Meachamania shirts. And while you're there, don't forget to get your shirts of the Casa D18 Studios Brotherhood, the Dads on Wrestling shirt, the Renegade JJ Williams, Statboy Sports Bar, and the hashtag Statboy Approved shirt. Make sure you go over to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network and score your shirts today. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow, right back here on the Casa D18 Studios channel for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, when we move into a new month and a new theme, and we begin taking a look at classic horror movies. And we begin with 1920s Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, starring John Barrymore in the titular role. You're not going to want to miss out tomorrow and all October as I take a look at some of these classic horror films. We're not doing anything post 1970. Night of the Living Dead 1968 is the last film that I am doing for the month of October. That's how classic we're getting. So you're not going to get any of the major slashers. There's not going to be any Leatherface, Michael Myers, Freddy, Jason, Chucky, Leprechaun. There's not going to be any Pinhead. None of that. We are paying tribute to the classics. And we're beginning with our first of 4 silent films. Like I said, 1920s, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, starring John Barrymore. You're definitely not going to want to miss out on that. To all my loyal fans and viewers out there who tuned in for the premiere, have been leaving your thoughts and comments over here, Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Likewise, all my loyal fans and viewers out there tuning in a little bit later in the day, watching on demand, leaving your thoughts and comments down here. Thank you very much. I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate all my loyal fans and viewers out there that tune in on a regular basis, show me that love, show me that support, trying to help boost up my viewership hours so I can eventually get monetized and make a few bucks on this endeavor. Thank you very much for tuning in and joining me today, and I will see you guys next time.